Wendy. Good evening.
Hi, teacher. Good evening.
How are you doing?
Good, thank you. And you?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I'm glad to hear that. Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So everyone else will be joining the session along the way. All right.
Yeah, it's
So welcome to our final exam, our presentations day. This is the last class we're having, and we're going to start off with Wendy's presentation. Here we go.
okay. So let me share my screen now. Yeah, there we go. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Hi, teacher. Hi, Fabricio. This is Wendy, and my topic for today is the moving house experience, fresh starts and new beginnings. I think moving house can be a challenge, but it's also an opportunity to start fresh in a new place. As my presentation style is saying, fresh starts and new beginnings. So let's talk about some reasons for moving. We have some reasons that people can choose moving to a new house. For example, job relocation that can be related when you employer it's asking you that you need to be at the office every day. It's not a possibility to have a remote work. So it's something that can be a fact to move to a new house. Also upgrading to a large house if you can afford it, or otherwise downsizing because the new conditions for you it is in that way. Seeking better opportunities too, I think it's looking for a new opportunities, like a new job with better benefits for you. And finally, lifestyle changes. And I think for this specific reason can be related when you want to offer to your family a stable environment without traffic and offer a secure zone. I think that's some of the reasons. So let's look at the planning and organization section. But I have a question here. What do you think planning and organization is important for a successful move? Imagine this situation. You are in a position where you need to prepare for an event within a short amount of time. So you are trying to get everything ready and achieve that goal without inconvenient issues. Now you understand why planning is so important. So let's take a look about some tips about this specific topic. It's important to set a moving timeline. So try to define if your moving can happen in holidays, weekends, or weekdays. And also create a checklist of tasks. This will help you to keep track of everything that needs to be done. Also, it's important to consider hire a professional moving company, or even you can do it yourself, but this will depend about your budget, your availability, the size of your move, for example, and stuff like that. Another tip is secure your precious and keep them safe. For example, your list or some important documents like contracts to avoid loss in transit. And separate your possessions into different categories. For example, you can consider the possessions that you want to keep, the stuff that you want to donate, the stuff that you want to sell, or discarding or decluttering. This will help to save money, only packing the necessary possessions. Now I want to share some tips about packing strategies. Pack early and pack room by room. This will avoid you last-minute stress. Also, consider label boxes clearly. This will make it easier to unpack and find what you need. Use appropriate packing materials. I can recommend, for example, in some hardware stores, you can find bubble wraps, foam wraps, fragile stickers, some packing papers, moving boxes for from plastic and cardboard, some packing tapes, dispensers, and garbage bags. And finally, prepare an essentials box with the necessary items for the first few days in the new home. And now, what can we do in the moving date? So try to coordinate with the moving company, or you can ask help for supporting to your family, to your friends, because I think it's normal to ask for help for this activity. Also, as I was mentioning in the previous slide, it's important to prepare an essential box, and you can include snacks, water, and essential items for easy access. Double check also all rooms, closets before leaving, and once moving is done, unpack essential first to ensure quick comfort. It's important to explore the new neighborhood, and finally establish new routines and make the space feel like home. And to quickly recap, here are some key points to remember. Begin planning early. This is important. Choose a professional moving company. Take inventory of your possessions and declutter. Involve your family and friends, and evaluate your new space. Finally, don't be too hard on yourself. Moving house can be challenging, but try to follow some of the tips that I mentioned here or search for more recommendations. I would like to share that I have recently moved my partner to pets to a new house, and I have a lot along the way. So it never will be perfect, but at least with a proper plan, I think you can go easy and smoothly as much as you can. So thank you very much for your interest and attention today. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Wendy. Does anyone have any questions? No. All right. So some clappings for you. I have a question. Have you had to move out many times in your life?
Yes, since I am married, I think I had to move like 3 times, and I recently moved the last weekend, teacher, and it was a hard
Oh
experience.
my God.
And for that reason, I was trying to have a research about some tips, because I think some things are obvious, but it is better to get some recommendations based on experience from other people. Because, for example, in my case, about the timeline, we were sure when we can move, because it will be a holiday on the 7th of July.
Oh.
So
okay.
we decided that will be the date. However, when we were waiting for the moving company, we were called by our the people that is in charge of the neighborhood.
Okay.
And we were called, and they said, okay, we were informed by the security that you to allow moving company to enter to the neighborhood. And we are afraid that is not possible, because today is a holiday, and we have the rules in our neighborhood, and you are not able to do it.
Oh my.
Believe it or not, it's a really
How
real
crazy is
experience.
that?
It was really frustrating, and we need to reschedule our moving to the house for the next day. That was Saturday, but they were okay. But you need just to consider that Saturday is okay, but just since 8 a.m. to 12
Oh my
p.m.
God. How crazy.
So we were running, because it was crazy, because the track that we book
Okay.
it was like a medium size. So we need to consider that just two tons are the capacity for the track, the vehicle. So yeah, it's for us it's like to consider at least three
You needed more space.
trips, yeah,
Oh.
to
Oh
complete the
my.
movie. Yeah. So it was a hard experience, but at the end, I think you need to consider that it's the experience, and you will be starting like a new journey, right, with your family. So that's the point.
You gotta think on the positive side of it, right?
Exactly.
Because moving is always hell. It's crazy. Like you have to, it's in the beginning, and it's not only the physical things you have to do, but mentally you have to adapt to the change, right? It's actually something shocking if we don't.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's also a good tip to have some headache tablets or painkillers, because at the end I think I was, my God.
Yeah,
I didn't know
I
about.
bet.
Yeah.
You were sore, like because you have to, I mean, you hire a company, but you always end up doing things yourself, right? Carrying stuff, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
Wendy, thank you very much for sharing that topic. It's actually something interesting. Maybe someone who hasn't moved before will be caught off guard because they will be surprised, not knowing when to start, and actually being able to receive these tips like this, well organized, will be very beneficial, right? So I will
Yeah,
keep it
yeah.
in mind for my next moving day.
Even another tip that I didn't mention, but to try to create this checklist. For example, in my case, I need to took my dogs and left them in a pet taking care of pets in order to avoid any stress, or because I will be focused in the movie. So I need to my dogs to be safe. So my relatives or my family and some friends weren't able to take care of them. So I
Oh,
need to to do this kind of activity too. But it was part of the experience. Yeah.
exactly. That was something else to take care of. Oh my God, it's like taking care of the children, right? Because they they needed to be
Yeah.
away from all the hassle. All right. Thank you very much for sharing your experience,
You're
Wendy.
welcome. Thank you very much.
All right. Let's see. Let's continue with Fabrizio's presentation. What are you talking to us about, Fabrizio?
Well, I got scared yesterday because I thought that everyone was talking about, like work issues, and I already got my presentation. And I was like, did I get something wrong? Did I miss an instruction or something? But whatever,
Oh
I
my.
wanted to talk something, but they were all talking like job related, and I was like, But everyone will get bored if I talk about my job. Perhaps. Well, so in the meantime, I will be talking about author Stephen King. I don't know if anyone here has ever read something or watched a movie. You probably watched a movie and you probably didn't even know that it was Stephen King's. So I don't know if you can recall something.
He's the one who wrote the It book, right?
Yeah,
I haven't
the
read it
one.
myself, but I know a friend from work who has the book, and it's this thick. So that's why I'm
it's
telling you, not because I'm.
it's giant. You know, I I I read it like 5 or 6 years ago, and it has I don't even know how many pages, but in the meantime I got bored and I was like, I'm tired of this story, and I read like 4 more books in the meantime. So my break from the book was another book. So all right, so he is very the Dark Tower. Yeah, there's also his like magna opus from Stephen King. It's a series of 7 books that kind of recollect some histories, characters from other stories, and kind of give them a coherent story. They all proceed from another world, and well, I will talk about that. All right. So the author was born in Maine, which is actually one of his most recurring places. Almost all of his stories are set in Maine, and somewhere in Maine. And he is 76 years old at this time, and he's still writing. And his work has been adapted in media, all kind of media. There's comic, there is well, I don't know if there's video games, actually I don't know, but there is film, television shows, more books that refer to him. And usually he's like very known for his terror, but he also writes some other kind of stories, and they are actually pretty good. You know, I think that I kind of like his thrillers than his horror novels, but horror novels are the one that make him famous. So it is what it is. So in the most famous book, and that you probably have seen the movies, it is Carrie, which has like three remakes. One in the 80s, that I believe it's the one in the picture. One in the 90s, and one more recently in 2013, I believe. It's the most recent of Carrie, and they're kind of like the same story, but a little bit more of this or more of that, then they change it. So make a remake. The Shining is the one with the most famous scene, you know, like the man hitting with an axe and a door and introducing his face and screaming something. It's very iconic, but actually Stephen King has said that that's the movie that he despises the most, even though it's the most famous perhaps about him. But the when I read the book, I haven't saw the movie. I saw the movie like a year ago, and I read the book uh, prior to that. So it is incredibly different. There is only like the setting and the main plot, something related to that, but the movie takes away a lot of the story and the depth of the character. So that's why he didn't like it. And well, there is obviously It, which is actually the second remake of that movie, because in the 90s, I believe, it was like it is a movie, but they say it's a mini series because it was like two chapters, like, just like the new movie that was It Part One and It Chapter Two, something like that. But they all it's the same story actually, and I believe that everyone liked the first New It movie, but the second was a little bit like eh. I didn't like it actually, the second part, but I did like the one. I did like the book, but it's very long and sometimes a little bit complex to read because it uses some resources that are not quite so. And this is something that is perhaps neutral uh, or central, sorry, central about his story is that horror is about people, not monsters. The main issue, perhaps, for example, in it is not that there is a killer clown hiding in the sewers. Yeah, it is, but the main reason it was that he like poison the environment and make people like more violent because it was something that he needed to create fear. So people was actually the one that you have to fear the most because they were there. They were like bullies, like criminals, uh, racists, even though things that are really scary because they are very real. But there was this explanation that, all right, the clown has something to do with it, but they were not central. So that's actually very interesting. My favorite book actually is the Dead Zone because I saw the series, there is this very long series. The dead zone, even though it sounds like very creepy or something, it refers to a zone in your brain that, well, in the case of the character, he was in a coma for like 3 or 5 years, and a part of his brain died, but another part of his brain gets to life, and that part was related to psychic abilities. So he can touch something or someone and can see things from the future or the past from them. So it was actually a pretty intriguing plot. And the series did a great job adapting this because the novel is relatively short. And this is an advice usually, but I haven't read the Dark Tower. That are 7 books, but usually Stephen King's books are better if they are not so long enough. If they are like this, they're probably a good story, but you're gonna get bored. And instead, if you buy or read a medium-sized novel, they're gonna turn out pretty good. In my experience, I've seen that. I'm currently reading The Outsider. It's a kind of short novel, actually. Here it is. So it's a medium-sized novel. It's about, I don't know, like 600 pages, almost 700, and it's pretty interesting. It's about well, I haven't read the plot because I don't want to spoil myself, but I understand that it's someone killed a child, and there was like a pretty solid case against a sport coach, but at the same time he has an alibi that he was at somewhere else, and it is impossible for him to be in 2 places at the same time. So I kind of infer that it's a monster, the monster that you can see in the illustration, and he can take the form. He can take the form of another person and like kind of impersonate him. So I don't know a lot about the book because, as I told you, I'm reading it, so I'm trying to identify myself. And well, actually, with my wife, we've been having like a Stephen King movie marathon in a lot of time, because we kind of find some movie, and then the next week we find another one, because she didn't want to see the It movie, because she said, oh, that will be really scary for me, and she didn't like The Shining because she saw it when she was very very young, so it kind of scared her for life. So we saw The Shawshank Redemption, and it's one of those stories that you wouldn't believe that are from Stephen King. Actually, he has a story that someone in a supermarket, an old lady, saw him and asked, "Oh, are you Stephen King, the writer?" And he was, "Yes, I am." I really hate your books. You write only horror and horrible things. You should learn about that movie, The Shawshank Redemption. I really like that movie. And he was like, I wrote that. No, you didn't. You're a liar. And that people didn't even know that he wrote that, because it is entirely different from his usual work. I really recommend that movie. It's pretty interesting. It's a hard story in part of way, because it is about a man who is in prison, kind of wrongly, and you can see that he's really desperate trying to like clean his name. But in the meantime, it happens a lot of things that I will not spoil, and my wife really liked the movie, because in the end it is like a hopeful message. So it's different, and that will be something that it's even, like, special from Stephen King, because usually horror tends to be like that, like in the end of the movie, the haunted house is still there. The doll, the Annabelle doll, still has the devil in it. But usually in Stephen King novels, they end with a, well, people tend to dislike his endings. I do really dislike a lot of his endings in the books or the movies. But they usually try to be like hopeful, you know, like in the end everything resolves or they can escape or things like that. There are a lot of movies that they do not have a happy ending per se, but they are not as, you know, like uh, horrible as you will thought perhaps in another movie, perhaps the Lovecraft works. I read a little bit, but I understand that they are more like, you know, it's something so horrible that even your mind cannot comprehend. So there's nothing for you. Good night. And you close the book and you're like, what? And usually Stephen King is more like, and that's like tender into that. So there are a little bit more of something that makes you say, hey, perhaps they're gonna end well, but you know, it's over in the end. So, well, that's my presentation, and I'm gonna end with this John Stephen King picture and another quote that say horror is about making the familiar strange, because that indeed it's the root of something that can really scare you. You know, it's something that can be with you in your house in the dark, but not something that for example, we're gonna be in a forest alone. You know, you're in your house and you're alone every day, so something could be there. And well, that's my presentation. So thank you. I don't know if you got any question, you want recommendations or something.
I just have a comment.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
It's about the movie that you mentioned, the one, the
The Shining.
No, the one that is
The
with
Shawshank Redemption.
Morgan Freeman. Yes, it's
Yeah.
the best movie in all the times of history. It's the number one in the list from
Really?
all the history. Yes.
Yeah, it is a very good movie, and I believe that it was really hard to watch sometimes, but the hope in the end, that was perhaps what I liked the most, because it was a very hard story, but in the end you say, hey, but it was possible, you know. So
Yeah.
and I don't want to talk about it because perhaps someone could see it. I believe it's in HBO Max. I don't know. It's
Oh.
not. It's in internet. It's in internet. I won't say- but you can find it in Spanish. I believe that it's like Sueños de Fuga, something
Oh,
like that. It's
okay.
called. So you can find it online somewhere.
That's great. Now I have two suggestions for movies, two options that I'm gonna
All
go watch. You made me think of my friend who came to work with this book, the It book, and actually the same thing happened to her. Like she was like bringing the book for 2 months, and she said the book is really good, but it's so long that it's taking me so long to read it. So she would read like parts of the book and then she would start reading another book. And then she would go back to the same book and then she would read another book. So it took her a long time. It took her a long time to finish reading the book, but the book was great.
It's
She
here,
loved it.
for
Exactly.
example.
It's huge.
It's giant.
It's like
For
a great
example, this is 700 pages, you know, and it I believe is
Oh my. No, it's like
5,000, something like that.
it's like a
5,000
cinder
pages.
block.
If this falls in your head, you're dead. You know?
Yeah, exactly. All right.
It is horrible, but same thing. It was fun. It was a great story, but it kind of get you bored at some point.
But I think it's something normal, right? Like if you think about the books you've read
Yeah.
in your life, if you are a true reader, there are some books that you get kind of bored, but you do want to end or to finish reading. Like you want to
Yeah.
give it some time. You want to get distracted a little, and then you go back to the story.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Fabrizio. This was very interesting and entertaining to hear about Stephen King from your point of view. and also to provide the fact that you were able to provide some details about him that I had never heard. It was really cool. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, we're moving on to Carla. Are you ready?
Yes, kind of. Sorry, because I'm sick right now. I have a flu, so that's why maybe I could cough in the middle of my
Oh,
presentation.
no worries. We don't mind. So, and I hope you get better soon, though.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna share my screen. It's not a big presentation, but just for you to have a visual about what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
I don't know if you can see it in the presentation mode, my screen.
Yes, we're able to.
Okay. Okay, you still watching the presentation?
Mhm.
Okay. And then, okay, first, thank you everybody for your time to listen to me. In this opportunity, I want to talk about a little bit about my two favorite sports. They are soccer and surf. First, I'm going to talk about soccer, which is one of the most famous sports around the world, if it is not the number one. And it is also a multimillionaire business. Actually, in the last year, the FIFA registered about 766 millions of dollars, and it's a very huge amount of money. Almost every country in the world has at least one huge soccer stadium. Here in El Salvador, we have the monumental Cuscatlán Stadium. It was opened in 1976, and it has a capacity of almost 45,000 people. So that is the bigger stadium in Central America and in the Caribbean. I want to share with you that I remember very well my first time that I went to the Cuscatlán Stadium to watch a match between El Salvador and United States. The final score was 2 goals for El Salvador and 2 goals for United States. And a couple of years later, I noticed that it was an arranged game, and I cried. I felt like I was cheating. Well, as a Salvadorian, we don't have a big presence in this sport around the world, but we are very passionate about it. We really enjoy our national soccer league, but we enjoy the most the international soccer. For example, the Spanish league, the Series A, which is the Italian league, the Bundesliga, which is the German league, and tournaments like the World Cup or the Champions League, the CONCACAF Champions, and others. I have played soccer myself in my childhood and a little in my youth. I played as a goalkeeper and also as a front player. Well, to finish in talking about soccer, I want to share with you my personal favorite teams. In El Salvador League, it's Santa Tecla Football Club. In Spain is Real Madrid. In Italy is AC Milan. In Argentina is Boca Juniors, and among others around the world. I really admire all the players from the teams that I mentioned before, because I admire that they are very committed with their teams, and they really work hard each and every day so they can be better to win the most important cups around the world. And that it's all about soccer. Now I'm going to talk about surf. And surf is a sport that has been practiced here in El Salvador a long time ago, but nowadays is a very popular sport. A sport actually since 2021, one of the coasts in the country is known internationally as a surf city. El Salvador have one of the most greatest beaches to learn how to surf because we have beaches with a small and constant waves. For example, in summer, the waves are like 2 meters tall, and in winter they are like 4, 5, or 6 meters tall. And that's depending on the rain. And that's why the best time here in El Salvador to learn how to surf is in summer. There are a lot of different types of waves around the world. For example, in Brazil, the waves are well formed, but they are not constant. For example, sometimes there are like 20 minutes between good waves. In Peru, they have one of the longest waves, almost 2 kilometers long. In Hawaii, we can find one of the tallest waves in the world, almost 10, 12, or 15 meters. But the record, it is in Europe, in Nazaré Beach, where the highest wave surf has been 35 meters. Myself personally recommend to practice this sport if you like the water, the nature, and if you're a good swimmer. But most important, if you want to forget everything, because once you are on your surfboard, it's all that it matters. You forget about everything, and it's only the ocean and you. So I really recommend it if you want to practice something new.
Are you a surfer yourself? I'm sorry.
Yes.
For how long have you done it? I'm asking you because I can see it because of the way you talk about it.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't change my slides.
No problem.
I surf since 2018.
How cool.
Yeah.
I've always thought that surfers are people with a lot of nerve. They're really bold because I wouldn't do it. I'm so scared of the sea, and it takes a lot of nerve to do it.
Well, you have to have respect of the ocean, but not to be scared. And if you can swim, I think everything is it's better. I mean, I know people that surf and they can't swim, and I don't recommend that, but it's very cool and you can feel yourself like very free in the ocean. But I really love the ocean, and that's why I really enjoy surfing.
How wonderful.
Yes, I really recommend it. I don't know if you or somebody else have another question.
Do we have any other surfers over here? Soccer players? So you're a sports girl, right?
Yes, yes, I like to practice a lot. My husband makes fun of me because since we get married, he's like, I never watching you like practice sports that much.
Oh
But
my.
yeah, but I have to retake all of this because of the baby and everything. For me, it has been very hard, but it's one of my my goals this year.
I hope you get to do it because it's something that you really like.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing your story, for combining it into the topic that you chose. You made it part of both the explanation and your very own experience, and that was really interesting. Thank you. Let's see. Jorge, here we go. I finally get to meet you, but I'm afraid we're not able to listen to you.
Oh, sorry, I was talking
Okay.
on mute.
Here we
Yeah,
go.
sorry. Yeah, well, I was in a similar situation that Mauricio about the topic of my presentation because most of my made pick a very formal subject. I will try to, well, I will show you something different. Let me share what it is.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. I assume I'm going to learn a lot from this presentation.
I hope
Alright,
so.
Okay.
Yeah, so I chose the anime as my presentation topic. So the first that I want to share with you is what is anime, right? So this definition is kind of funny because for all the people outside of Japan, anime is just animation created in Japan, right? But for the Japanese, they call anime to every kind of animation across the world. So if it's kind of funny. And for the people outside the Japan, also if you could find some animation that are similar to the Japanese anime, but it's not real anime. It's usually called anime influenced animation, right? For example, in USA, we have some cartoon that has this influence from the anime. Now we can also talk something about the story of anime. This the animation per se for Japan, it came from the 20th century, right? For example, in 1907, we have some films created in Japan, and they were using something that is called a magic box that lets you project images using a lamp, right? Something similar that we can see in this picture. And after that, in the 1918 is when the anime became mainstream in Japan. So we can find some very good anime series like Gundam that is based on robots, or Dragon Ball. I guess probably you hear about Dragon Ball, and all these kind of genres for anime, right? Based on battleship, sport, or slice of life. I will share also in the next further in my presentation some of this gender to discussion. Also, I want to talk about the character design in the anime. Usually, some of the aspects that you can how you can detect the anime is the eyes, because always is a better representative designing the character, because they usually have very big eyes. And also, for example, the color of the hair. We never have just black hair. We always have a character with colorful hair, and it's the most common in that universe of anime. And other aspect that you can detect in the character design is the way that the emotion are displayed, right? The mood, because you could have all kind of moods represented by a specific expression of the animation, right? For example, you can see here when they are sad or when they are amazed for something. And you can detect this specific set of characteristic in every show of anime, right? And also in this picture, I am show you for the same picture, every style for the artist, right? So we can identify some of them. For example, the Sailor Moon or like Heidi. I don't know if you know those anime series. And then here is the anime genres. We can have two ways to classify the anime. For example, we have a demographic classification, and it's depend of the target of the anime, right? For example, you have anime for young ladies, and we have some example here, like Fruit Basket or Mermaid Melody. And also we have for young boy that is called shonen, and we have an example, Dragon Ball. It's very specific, the target for this anime. And we have the seinen anime that is for young men. Mostly of this series are more serious than the other one. It has less fantastic topic, for example. And also we have this category for women. It's for just for women, but it's recommended just for women, right? And also we have Kodomo, that is for child. This is the this category is like a very with simple the content of the trauma is very simple because it's for children. For example, we have here Hello Kitty, and also the duration of every episode is very short because children cannot keep the attention too much time. And the other category is using the thematic of the anime. And we have here, for example, anime based on robot or mechas. For example, Messenger and Gundam. Also, we have a post-apocalyptic that show you a dystopic future sometimes. For example, we have here Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind. You can see this one in Netflix. It's pretty good. And we have this kind Mahou Shoujo that is a story related to teenager that receive a magical tool that led them to get some kind of superpower, like Sailor Moon, for example, or Sakura Card Captor. And also we have this category for men, right? Something similar. And we have some example for here, like Full Metal Alchemist. That is one of the most famous of this kind.
I love that one.
Yeah. And also we have some base that talk about an expertise. For example, they talk about a specific sport or some kind of art. And there are some very funny related to cooking. This one, for example, is Yakitate Japan, is about a younger boy that can create all kind of bread and very delicious at the same time. And finally, we have here some recommendation that I could give you for the anime in 2023. For example, I like a lot One Piece. As you can see, I am wearing a t-shirt of that. This is a very long anime, but yeah, you can spend a lot of time if you want to see it from the beginning. Other good series is Attack on Titan. This is like a dystopic, futuristic kind of anime. Ranking of kin is like for children is kind of simple. And also we have a Spy X Family, that is a family. The father is a spy, and the mother is a killer. And the baby girl can read the mind, but they don't know the secret from the others. Only the little kids know about the secret from their father, and they are not a real family actually. They just they from that family to have one specific mission. And also we have here Demon Slayer, that is it's about that a boy that is learning how to kill demons. Yeah, I don't know if you have some question.
Yeah, I actually have. I have a question. What are your plans about they're making a movie about this one, right? The one, can you play the picture again? Can you go back to the picture? One Piece movie, right?
Which one? Sure.
They're making a One Piece movie, right? Live action.
Oh yeah. I guess they were planning to do a. Yeah.
I think it will be a Netflix series.
Oh, it's gonna be a series.
Yes.
And what are your plans about this one? Are you really excited about watching it, or you just don't want to watch it because you don't want to ruin what you'll
No, yeah, usually the action movies from anime are not so good.
Exactly.
I guess in Netflix you can find Attack on Titan action movie, but yeah.
I tried watching Full Metal Alchemist. I watched the second one because the first one I started watching it and I was like, no, we're not going anywhere. And then I watched the second one, but I felt like something was missing. So after doing that, I feel like it's a waste of time watching live action movies that are taken out of anime.
Yeah.
And
it's
also
better to see the anime, or if you are a really fan, you could read the manga. Sometimes it's better. Yeah.
Definitely. And I also have another question. What's your opinion on Demon Slayer? Because I have been checking some comments on social media, and people who have been watching anime for a long time, they say there is a better anime, or this one is much better than that one. I don't know why people are going so crazy about this one. And I'm like, I have watched it, and I was so amazed by the graphics and everything. So this is why I was so surprised. And also the story, I think I liked it a lot. So what do you guys think about it now, if you have watched it?
Yeah, I guess the problem with this series is that I don't know if the correct word to say it is that it has that punch of power in the specific moment that they don't explain how the protagonists get that power. They just release the strong that is inside him, but they don't explain how he got it, right? Sometimes.
The background, right? Okay.
Yeah, the background, because sometimes it's just I remember my dad did something and I can do it now. So, but
Exactly.
without any practicing, or I don't know, something like that. So I guess that part is not too good. But yeah, in general, the history is very the story is very good, and yeah, the animation is great.
Wonderful. Yeah, actually, I had to watch a few videos on YouTube in order to understand why some things were happening the way they were happening. And now that you say it gives an explanation. That explains a lot, because only people who have read the manga are the ones able to understand what's going on.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. Something also is happened that because in the anime they just pick the better part of the manga, right? In the manga you have more explanation about. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much for this presentation, Jorge, and everyone else who was present since the beginning of our presentations session tonight. We're going to end. Some of our participants have left already, but I'm going to give you some general feedback on the presentations, and this feedback is only related to, give me 1 second, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, it's only related to expressions, to grammar, okay? Something that you said. Okay, so we're going to copy paste my notes here. Okay, and we're going to put them right here. All right, so same as yesterday, you don't have to open your microphones for the corrections. You can just repeat at home. I'm going to repeat them for you. Okay. And if you have any questions, you can ask me. Okay. So give me a second. Right here. And we're going to end our session with this last activity. Okay. Okay, so that's it. So I heard to avoid lose them in transit. Okay, so we have the verb avoid, and when we use this verb, we need to use a gerund. So we're going to say, plan your activities in advance in order to avoid losing, you see, losing them, your things, your belongings in transit. Okay. Now we have probably you hear about, give me a second. Okay, so this sounded like a rhetorical question, so I assume that it would have been probably you've heard about, you see, you've heard about, okay, many times in the past. Now, pronunciation of this word is we have two options. We can say identify, or we can also say identify, like this. Identify. See. Then we have the next one, which is category. Then we have necessary. Then the next one would be vehicle. And then we have a regular verb that sounds like id at the end. So we're gonna say adapted. And the last one, when we have the subject El Salvador, okay, El Salvador is third person. So we're gonna say El Salvador has. All right, so this would be our final feedback. I'm going to share a screenshot in the chat, okay? And that would be it. All that is left for me to say is that I thank you very much for being part of these sessions, these live chat sessions. I hope you are ending this English program feeling and noticing your improvement, because every day we learn new things, and I have learned new things with you guys as well. So thank you very much for joining classes, and I hope you guys can keep on being part of this program, and I wish you the best of luck as well. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, and before we leave, I'm going to be sharing the feedback of our second homework assignment right after I finish the session, okay? So you will be receiving a message on WhatsApp, all right?
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Welcome.